Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today, we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 406, Family Business. This episode aired on November 2nd, 2014. It was written by Kalinda Vasquez and Andrew Chambliss and was directed by Mario Van Peebles. And this was also accompanied by audio commentary by our writers. And we know that those episodes get long, so buckle up. But also, you've seen the length of this episode. So you signed
You know
up for
what you
this.
got yourself into.
You did. Because Lauren writes everything down. So, and you know what? It gives us more to talk about. That's all I'm saying.
Like, there's not plenty to talk about in this one.
I mean, that's another. We'll get there. The synopsis got weirdly long. All right. Before we get into our recapping and chatting, here is a synopsis for Family Business. In Fairytale Land, after the ogres overtake Belle's castle, her mother is killed. Plagued by the blackout that is keeping Belle from remembering what happened to her mother, she travels to Arendelle to see if the rock trolls can restore her memory and give her closure. Back from her trip in the Enchanted Forest, Anna meets Ingrid for the first time, and although Elsa embraces her, Anna is hesitant to welcome the newest member of their family. She teams up with Belle and goes to the mountains to talk to Grandpappy. He gives Belle a way to regain her memories and confirms that Ingrid is Anna's aunt and that her mother had a second sister. On their way back, a storm kicks up and Belle and Anna are trapped. Belle has to choose between getting back the magic that will restore her memories or helping Anna. But she tries to help Anna just a bit too late and also loses her hope of regaining her memories. Ingrid takes Anna back to Arendelle and locks her up for having the sorcerer's hat and plotting to take away Elsa's magic. And back home, Belle finally learns about what her mother did to save her life. And in Storybrooke, with the development that Emma knew Ingrid in the past, the group looks for more places she could be hiding. While Emma and Regina raid her ice cream truck, they find proof that Ingrid was Emma's foster mother for 6 months, despite her not remembering a thing. Robin tries to talk to Regina, but she tells him that his best hope at freeing Marion is to forget her and fall in love with his wife again so that he can wake her with true love's kiss. Meanwhile, Belle is trying to hide from everyone that she knew about Ingrid and Anna, and forces Rumple to take her to Ingrid's lair because she believes Ingrid has the sorcerer's hat, and maybe they can use it to stop her. When she's there, she's caught in the gaze of a mirror that forces her to see the darkest parts of herself and confront that which she doesn't want to admit, her fears about Rumple and the dagger. Rumple is able to get her out just in time and tells her what Ingrid is planning. Ingrid wants her perfect family based on a prophecy that'll include herself, Elsa, and Emma. And she's prepared to cast a powerful curse that will destroy the whole town, the spell of Shattered Sight. Dun dun dun.
Essentially.
Especially because they ended on the weird, really quick, horror movie cut of Ingrid looking in the mirror.
Yeah. I love her though. I don't care.
But those were apparently added. That was the director's choice. Those little cuts in of her in the mirror were not in the script.
Oh, it was done really well. I really enjoyed this more than I expected, but
okay, that's good.
I still have interesting things to say because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because at first we start off and I'm like, okay, Belle. I'm like, why the fuck does she look like Cora? Like Belle's mom looks like a younger Cora. And I got really confused at first because there's no Belle for a second. And you just see this woman and I'm like, is that a younger Cora? Why are we going back to Cora?
No, she does look a little bit like Barbara Hershey. I will say
she does.
This. Yeah.
And so that really threw me off. And I was just like, oh no, that's Belle's mom. Never mind.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, don't know how I'm going to feel about more Belle lore. Because we know what the writers do.
Yeah.
When it comes to Belle. And it's not exactly my favorite.
No, that's fair.
Is she royalty in this?
Yeah, that was always kind of established. Her father was in in 112. Her father is kind of in charge of their little area.
Because that's where it does get a little bit confusing. That I'm like, they're, I don't know.
Yeah, he's not called King Maurice, but I think that's the implication from that very first scene in 112, the war room scene with him, her, and Gaston. That's kind of the implication.
It's weird, but it's a thing. Belle's costumes though are my favorite in this one. They did, all the costumes really. I think I've got multiple notes on just different costumes because at one point I got really excited for Elsa's dress because I'm like, oh, it's perfect. It's fucking perfect. They did justice to that movie so well.
Mm-hmm.
I was really proud of myself though, because when they pulled out the book and they're looking through the book for answers, and I just entered, oh, that's a Volknut. That's going to be Arendelle, because the symbol on the front of the book is a Norse symbol. And I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
all right, I know what that is. And then I look, oh, look. I just go, LOL, called it by the book before she even pulled out the map. Like, I knew immediately. I was like, that's Norse.
This is where your Norse knowledge is coming in tow.
The symbol on the book is called a Volknut.
Good to
It's
know.
a symbol for Odin.
Okay.
See, now you know I'm giving information this time.
I mean,
Here's a little
I'm
fun
okay.
fact.
I'm okay with this.
And
I'm
then
always okay with learning things.
I got mad. I just wrote all caps, Belle, why are you lying to Elsa? Like, why? What's wrong with you?
I also wrote down, Belle, why you lying?
What you doing there? In case you haven't noticed, I'm about to storm an evil ice cream truck.
That is one of the best lines, and that was also Kalinda's favorite line of the entire episode.
But the best line is actually, it's bad enough I'm stuck with you and Captain Guyliner making eyes at each other. That's the best line. Having Regina actually say Guyliner, I was like, yes.
It's the two of those, and then her next line inside the ice cream truck is, should we question the cow she gets her milk from? Maybe search a waffle cone factory? Like, she has very few lines in this episode, and yet nearly they're all burns.
They're the best. And I love when Robin's walking up trying to talk to her, and she's like, now is not a good time. And she's not wrong.
Exactly. No, not at all. She's got her priorities on straight.
And of course, then I'm like, Gold, what are you doing? When he's talking to Ingrid, I'm like, Gold, what you doing there?
I love their scene so much.
They're them two together. I'm just like, I'm in love with it.
They're so compelling to watch. And one thing I noticed this time around, because we say this all the time about how soft-spoken Ingrid is, and the writers had a lot to say about that as well, and I'll talk about that later. But I've noticed the person she speaks the loudest with is Rumple.
Oh, you're right.
Like, she's still very quiet compared to other villains, because again, we've comparing it to Zelina, like, she takes up a lot of space. Like, she's
for
the
such
loudest,
a tiny woman.
Right? Ingrid, she's the loudest, and she has the most like put on affectation of like someone in power when she talks to Rumple, which shows that he's the one who makes her the most insecure.
Yeah,
because there's a very significant shift. The line that I keep using as an example, I think, comes at the end of Smash the Mirror Part 2 would be my guess. I don't remember exactly where it comes from, but I think it's that one. If it's not there, then it's in Fall. That is the first time she truthfully like has that very whisper moment with him. She's always still very even-keeled and very quiet, but her volume and the way she speaks is the loudest with Rumple, and I find that fascinating.
It's like, is he the only one that she's intimidated by and worried that could actually get in her way?
I think a little bit, despite the fact of like how she's speaking to him. The thing she says is like, I have the one thing that you're sorely lacking, leverage. Until you have that, stay out of my way. Like, she's speaking like someone who's confident, but if you pay attention just to the volume of her voice, she's not as confident with him as she is with everyone else.
She's slightly intimidated.
Yeah, which I love. It's just so good. It's so much fun to watch.
And then, of course, I clocked it again when they find that paper, and I'm like, those are runes. Those are Futhark runes.
Those are Futhark runes.
Which is interesting.
I loved Emma's line of, are you talking about the scroll or something else?
Or I think it was the scroll, because like they say it's a prophecy, and I'm like, well, Futhark runes don't exactly form words.
No, they don't. Well, where is the line? I wrote this down because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, because that's just another situation of like, runes, that's not how runes work. But
no.
Thank you for using them because it made me happy. Like, it's a weird situation.
With this line, it was funny. I don't know where I put it. But basically, when they open up that scroll, Emma says something along the lines of like, this is like, whatever this is, it's not of this world, that's for sure. And I'm like, Elder Futhark runes are of this world, but okay. Yep.
Yes, they are.
I know Emma. Oh, here, yeah, literally, this isn't from our world. Technically, Elder Futhark runes are, but okay. She tried.
They're Norse.
Emma might not know that. We've established this. Her education wasn't the best.
This is true, but also the CGI. Once again, I have to be like, it's another situation of like, I gotta compliment the CGI again.
Mm-hmm.
The costumes and the CGI. Whoever did these, thank you. You did a wonderful job because like Grandpappy looks good.
Yeah,
it's all so good, and I love the snowflake.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really impressed by that. Of course, then I start freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, is Anna alive? Oh shit, Belle, what are you doing? Like, it just got so much going on at once. And of course, I'm like, of course, Gold is, he's lying again because even if that is the real dagger, he did give her a fake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there's just so many different aspects to
Yeah.
that. I am happy Anna's alive, but at the same time, like that whole little like section of this episode, I'm just sitting here like actually glued
Yeah.
to the show, and I'm like, holy shit, like
that
this got
moment,
real.
That moment of her falling down, because again, they do play it off of like, did she just die?
Did she just die?
But there was a thing in here that the writers were very cognizant of how they wanted this bit of Belle's backstory to work, because they wanted to really balance some level of like, they wanted to give her something that she would feel ashamed about.
Mm-hmm.
That like that's still not villainous. So like they talked about like what the thing was that Belle was trying to hide being.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially what is like they wanted her to make a mistake but still stay true to her character, wanting to help people, wanting to be that hero, wanting to like go on adventures and save everybody. But they didn't want her to like do something like entirely malicious. What they ended up with was like she didn't want Anna to fall on purpose. It was just a split second of she was trying to get back that memory rock, and she made the right choice. She ultimately went back to save Anna. She was just a split second too late, but that still haunts her, which is
she
fair.
had a hard time making a decision, and that split second decision caused Anna to fall and thankfully not die. And then I go at one point, okay, Anna is in fact alive.
Exactly. Anna's still alive. They didn't kill off the Disney princess. They don't do that.
No,
they kill off other people, not the Disney princess.
That's okay. You can't kill off the Disney princesses. It's a family show, and you do not want the little girls or little boys or little children watching it and going, "Did they just kill a princess? Mommy, what's wrong with? Where's my princess?"
They do. It is a family show. Funny you should say that. Given the line, "Spend enough time in this town, love, and you'll realize that everyone's related."
That's the next line I was gonna say. I wrote that one down, and then after that, I wrote down, "She came to this world looking for blondes." And that's the end of my notes. Was she came to this world looking for blondes?
Yes, she did.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that the villains are usually fighting for like just the life that they wanted but didn't get. Like that's most of their. We're gonna keep Peter Pan out of this for once because that's a whole another story.
Because we'd keep comparing, because I feel like we do keep comparing everything to how poorly executed Pan was. There's only so much we can like beat a dead horse. So it's.
But if you're gonna beat a dead horse, that's the one to beat.
It's a good one, but. Because I was also thinking, like, it feels a little bit like we're almost kind of flying through this season. Because I was thinking, like, we're almost, because truthfully, with this arc, we've got the Snow Queen, we've got Smash the Mirror, Fall, and Shattered Sight. That's it for Ingrid. She only has 4 episodes left. The last episode of this arc, it wraps up the Frozen characters, but mostly sets up the Queens of Darkness.
Yeah, like, so, really, it's because it's enjoyable.
Exactly. Like, we're having, it's an enjoyable villain, a well-acted villain. Maybe it's because she's a hot woman. I mean, that's entirely possible. But I think she's just better written and the story is more well-rounded. And like I said, like, because we're not getting her backstory until 407, which is only 1 episode sooner than we got Pan's.
Yeah. But like, she makes sense as a villain even from the beginning. Like, because you may not really know what she's doing or why. We know why now, for the most part.
Kind of.
You
know most of the pieces.
You have something, though. We didn't have that with Pan. This gives us something. And so I guess they learned their lesson of like, we got to sprinkle it in. We got to sprinkle it in.
Exactly.
Or people are going to turn away from this. And I think that's the way it's going. Because, yeah, we are comparing a lot of this to Peter Pan. But Peter Pan felt like an absolute drag of a time. And it felt like maybe it didn't help that I didn't have internet for a while through Peter Pan.
No, that's true. Pan took 3 extra weeks.
Pan took 3 extra weeks because I didn't have internet, which was no fault of my own. That was a natural disaster. But
no, and to be fair, I mean, the Frozen arc is taking 2 extra weeks since we took off 2 weeks from my move.
Yeah, but it's still enjoyable. Like, I'm enjoying myself so much more with this. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to watch. I'm not kind of sitting here going, "Is it over yet?" So, look, maybe in the second arc we'll stop comparing it to the Peter Pan arc.
There will be more than enough to talk about in the next arc, quite frankly. We do have a while until the next commentary episode. I think the next one was 415. Is that the number I'm looking up right? It's For Unfortunate Soul.
Oh, so. I can't wait.
And it's not commentary. I'm not gonna continue to get angry on the fact that there's, for the most part, for the rest of the season, the next, I know which episodes that are left have commentary. And actually, what's funny is the last 3 are like 2 to 3 episodes apart versus this is like 10 episodes apart for the next time we have commentary. But only one of them is like with the actor that or with the person in general that I want to hear the commentary from. Because Porn Fortune Solo is with Colin and I think David H. Goodman again. I would love to have heard some of Ursula's commentary. Right? Just saying. Sympathy for the DeVille, the actor who played Cruella, not in the commentary. I think
come on, guys.
It's just the 2 writers. But the last one is a Regina focus episode with Jen Espenson and Lana.
Ooh. Okay, that's gonna be good.
That's gonna be fun.
Because we love Lana.
We love Lana. And to be fair, we've watched enough of Jane torturing Regina. I want to hear them talk.
Please. God, now I need this because I'm.
Also, to be fair, I know I've watched that with commentary at least once, but at this point, going forward, with the exception of Mother, I don't think I've ever watched any of the commentary episodes before with commentary.
Oh, that's exciting. You get to do it for the first time for this.
Yeah, because basically this season was the first time, other than Mother, I don't think I listened to any of them with commentary. Because when I was watching them just for entertainment purposes, it was mostly just because the episode was I wanted to listen to it, and when I saw that it wasn't an actor that I cared about, oh well.
I am laughing a little bit thinking about the whole situation with Ingrid finding Emma and becoming a foster mother just to get close to Emma, and I'm just like, that's a lot of steps.
Yeah, it's a lot of steps.
That's a lot of effort.
She's got some time. We'll see what her getting to the land without magic looks like. And funnily enough, her first interaction will be with an actor whom you recognize.
Is it someone I like?
It is someone you like, and I don't want to say who it is. It's someone who does a fantastic job at being crazy.
Oh, wait, is Sebastian Stan?
No. You haven't seen them on once before.
Oh. Ooh, wait a minute. Someone who's really good at being crazy.
Being crazy. Crazy
2014.
Over the top. I don't think without any more hints, you're not.
No, I'm not going to get it without any more hints. And I'm like,
do you want a hint?
Give me. I like guessing. I can't help it.
Think of an actor who has a character who has a certain affinity for washing machines.
What? Washing machines? Why did my brain go to Lois from Family Guy? Not Lois. No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of American Dad. That wife, not Lois.
No.
Washing machines?
I'm gonna say it. If I say it, you're gonna feel stupid. Do you want me to give you another hint?
Please, because I'm like, washing machines.
Power Friends.
Power Friends. No, I'm blank.
You and I just had this conversation. Rebecca Wazaki, who plays Hetty on Ghosts. Washing machines.
Fucking Hetty?
Hetty.
I was just watching Ghosts.
Again, and we had the conversation about the Power Friends.
We did.
Told you.
I'm tired, okay? I didn't sleep last night.
If anyone's seen Ghosts, you know how fantastic my guesses were. She's in it very, very briefly.
But it's Hetty.
It's Hetty. She does.
I love her.
The fact that I knew she was in this and that Ghosts, films in Montreal, I assumed she was from Canada. I was very wrong about that. Oh. But that's something to discuss in our episode where we talk about ghosts.
Which, oh God, how long is that one going to be?
We're going to have to really time box ourselves.
We really are, because we could talk about ghosts forever.
Yeah.
Every character is so well written and well done. The actors are phenomenal. It's got my favorite people in it. Mm-hmm. I literally, Tinkerbell is the reason I ended up watching a whole nother show, and then then I moved on to Ghosts. She's done some great work, man.
She really has.
Only for me to realize she was in the
Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off.
No.
That was
she was the older sister in that really sad movie where Stanley Tucci is a bad guy.
Oh, The Lovely Bones.
Thank you. She's the older sister in that too.
Yeah. All right, back to Once Upon a Time after that very, very long tangent.
Oops.
We tried.
It's not that long.
That was a longer one, I will say.
We've done longer.
We have. We've done almost entire episode length tangents.
Right.
Before we get into my notes on the commentary notes, I do have a couple of fun facts that are not in the commentary notes. And it's mostly, this is stuff that is, I don't know if it's speculation, but it's kind of like a pause and read situation. But one of it is supposedly what the Snow Queen scroll says. I know you can't spell with Elder Futhark runes, but my guess is this is what they intended for it to say based off of a script. That's what I'm going with. So the whole prophecy reads, I have traveled the world near and far. My search knows no bounds. My obsession will not leave me. My search will continue to the ends of the earth. One thing I know for sure, the name of the Savior is Emma. The Savior shall be my sister. The family must be complete.
The fuck?
It's real creepy.
That's fucking creepy.
Uh-huh.
No thank you.
Nah.
I don't like this.
She's creepy. We know this already, though. It's no, but she's a fun creepy.
Do we find out where this prophecy came from?
Yes.
Okay.
We know where she gets it.
So still creepy, but interesting.
From someone who's already very cryptic, so like it makes sense. And the other fun fact that I have is, again, it's kind of like a pause and read thing. This is what the page that Belle was reading about the rock trolls says. So it says that trolls are creatures who are said to be formidable telepaths and are able to employ subtle acts of persuasion to bend others to their will. Some earlier scholars even went as far to say that they have the ability to restore memories that have been lost. So
I didn't know about the I can't speak.
Telepathy I guess that makes sense because they pull the memories out of the mind and
True.
stuff,
Interesting.
I suppose. But one thing, before I go into my notes, I found this, I was very curious because we have the map of Arendelle. I wanted to compare it to the map we get in Frozen 2, and there is a strange but specific similarity. So it's in the script. There's a drop-down comparing the map of Arendelle in Once Upon a Time and the map in Frozen 2. Ignore the fact that I just took these with my phone. I did have to rotate the Frozen one because it was a different, just to kind of compare it better. They're not terribly dissimilar, but what I find fascinating is that out of the whole fjord, they both have a river coming out of the right side.
They do.
Like, it's not identical, but like, they're not terribly dissimilar, which I find fascinating.
Well, it does feel like, too, the other map feels more like it's zoomed in to the bay. I guess that's what you would call it, like a bay. So it feels like maybe it's just zoomed in more for us on this map, but like they are very similar.
Uh-huh.
They did really well with this.
Yeah, so, Frozen 2, I mean, this is speculation. I don't think anyone stole anything, but maybe Frozen 2 borrowed from Once Upon a Time because
which
that
isn't
came
a
afterwards.
bad thing because then they work together a little bit better.
Yeah, because I mean, to be fair, there are two completely different studios. ABC Studios and Walt Disney Animation are two completely different studios under the same parent company. But like, when you're formulating something that there's now a new piece of lore that you can include if you want to, why not?
Exactly. Like, I really am curious to see what route they're going to take with Frozen 3. Like,
yeah. My first note from this episode that was worth highlighting, because there's my very first note though is something that like I can't say until you meet a different actor, because someone else who we see in season 4 auditioned for Belle's mother.
Oh, okay.
But I would say I think she got the better end of the deal, just personally.
All right.
Also, I think she got the part that made more sense.
Fair.
But my first note was, Belle, this is too much information for. We need to flee the castle. Your mother loves you. You love the book. Put it in the trunk. Get the fuck out of there.
Yeah,
she was talking way too much about that book.
I mean, don't want Belle to feel worse, but there's a reason her mom's dead. Like, just the books will be okay. Look, I love the whole trend too of like, what books would you grab if your house was on fire type situation. I'm not grabbing books if there's fire.
If anything, grab the one that's in front of me.
Exactly. Like, at most, I would grab maybe my first edition Aragon that's signed. That's about it. But that's also worth money.
Exactly. But so with Belle, though, with her kind of being evasive the entire time, because this was something that they said that they were trying to figure out how to slot things in with the Frozen story. Because Belle didn't start being evasive until she sees Ingrid in the video.
Oh.
She's right. She's all good to go. But as soon as she sees Ingrid in the video, then she starts making the connection. And this was something that they were saying was that they were trying to balance throwing these stories in with like, it's having to come up with reasons why we've never seen it before.
Okay.
I'm finally like doing like the search function to find like where my notes are.
Good God. So, how much did you write down?
A lot. I write down everything they say. And this time, for some reason, the season 4 DVDs, the captions don't work properly.
Oh,
so I'm writing this all down without the captions for the commentary.
Oh.
But they said a big challenge that they had integrating Frozen into this story was coming up with ways to include these flashbacks that the existing characters wouldn't already know to maintain that level of mystery. So with this, you have Belle not really realizing who, like, especially like the first time they that Elsa goes to ask them about they ask them about the necklace, whoever it is that asks. Like, Belle has no reason to know who Anna is. Like, she might recognize the name, but she has no reason to. But until she sees Ingrid in that video, she has no reason to be evasive because she has no idea what's going on. But they didn't want to keep doing the same like blanket memory wipe like they did with the 3B with the missing year. And like they did that through invoking these little pieces of story that help it seem as though that these characters, the Frozen characters, have been there all along. But there's a good reason why these characters don't bring it up. And the other example they gave, besides this of Belle just not having really any kind of level of context for Elsa at all, is in 402. David doesn't realize who Anna is when they're talking about her because when he met her, she was using a pseudonym.
Oh yeah.
So it isn't until he sees like the necklace and realizes that Joan is Anna, that's when he puts it together. But it keeps it from being a little bit like, here's what happened kind of thing. Like it lets us kind of like see these stories a little more organically as the actual characters are remembering them. But I thought that was just a very cool thing that they talked about because that makes a lot of sense. I found this funny though. I wrote down when Maurice was telling Belle to not go on the adventure because and to come with the price. I was like, he's kind of got a point here, but also like some memories aren't better set free. And I found it fascinating that towards the end of the episode, Ingrid said some secrets are better left buried.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I was smart. I made connections without realizing it because as we established when I texted you, I can't do commentary watches of episodes that I don't know super well. Because they're talking about these things. I was like, cool. What did Belle do? I don't remember anymore.
Keep pausing. I don't know what's happening.
Well, because I watched because normally I watch the regular episode first and then I watch it with the commentary. But I was like, you know what? Let me flip it because like how I do, like look for fun facts before I watch the episode now. That I'll actually see things when I watch it. And then they're talking about all like these like secrets and stuff, and I was like, oh fuck, I have no idea what's going on anymore. I forgot why. I don't remember why Belle is being evasive. This is not good. But I got there eventually. We've learned our lessons. But I say this a lot, and this kind of went into what the writers said about Ingrid being more demure is the best word I can phrase it. So Kalinda called Elizabeth Mitchell's performance very restrained and very calm because she doesn't yell, she doesn't throw things. Like I said, as Lena, who takes up a lot of space. But she has this really immense power behind everything that she's saying, like we were saying before. And I say this a lot about Ingrid. She is a very reactionary villain, like in the way that she is. Because also, so much of her villainy is far more subtle than we've seen before. There aren't any big fights. There's no big blow-up scenes. I mean, she will send like an ice Viking against, or I know they're not really Viking, but you know what I mean.
Okay, look, it's just the helmet specifically that makes me angry. Just they didn't wear horned helmets. So you can call it a Viking. It's just not a real Viking.
It's not a real Viking.
Which I feel like I need to say to like the Vikings of today.
Yeah.
Viking was an occupation, guys.
It was an occupation.
It was not a title.
Exactly. But she can do that, but she like there's a couple of heated altercations, and we'll definitely see one between her and Emma in the next episode. But like there's no big baddie fight, like I said. Most of her villainy is in creating the tools that allow everyone else to tear themselves apart.
Which is interesting.
And just leaving herself to bask in the wake of their destruction. Like that's the way that she operates. And it's funny because with how she talks to Anna the very first time she meets her, she's 100% sincere and genuine in the way she's talking to Anna. And when she says towards the very end of the episode that, what she wants is a family who will embrace her for who she is. And for a brief moment, she thought the three of them, Ingrid, Elsa, and Anna, could be that family. She's not being facetious. She's being sincere. That's what she thought. But the reaction part of it is if Anna hadn't distrusted her, she would have no reason to do anything she's doing.
That's true.
Like Ingrid, she wanted them to be a family together. But Anna's, and to be fair, like I understand Anna's immediate distrust, but this is one thing where I would say this episode or this character is a slight departure from Anna, the movie. Because, I mean, they make the joke of like that she's so open and trusting. She agreed to marry Hans and then met Kristoff the next day, and she's maybe not the best judge of character. But it's Ingrid. She's like I said, she's sincere in what she's saying. She would have had no reason to attack her if she didn't first feel threatened.
Yep.
And something that the writers actually added on was part of it is Ingrid's jealousy of the relationship that Elsa and Anna have. So it's a little bit of getting rid of the competition, but I think it's also she's so used to being attacked
Mm-hmm.
and having to preserve herself. Because we'll see why in the next episode. And so much of, not ironically, but funnily enough, so much of this episode was formed based off of the decisions they made for the next episode.
Oh.
Because a lot of like the little tidbits that we get about Ingrid's backstory and what she, lets on with Anna and what Grandpappy tells them, that kept changing based off of decisions they made about the backstory for 407.
Okay.
So I kind of love when they do that. Like they tell us like that, like we kind of see everything being meshed together,
Mm-hmm.
and, like work together as a group, which is always really nice to see. And that was a fun. This is the shit that I like about the commentary. I like when the actors talk about like I like when it's like an actor and a writer. That's my favorite combination.
Because then you get more information out of it, not just of like, oh, this is how the writers felt, or this is just like how the actors felt playing the role. When you've got the two together, it's just so much more enjoyable because you're able to get insight of like what was written the way it was written and why it was acted the way that it was.
Exactly.
Because they're not always the same. They may be written a certain way, but that doesn't mean that's the way the actor and the director are going to decide the way to do it.
Exactly. Like when you get that difference of the intent and the final performance, because you also have the writers talking a lot about what was added via the director. Or at one point, when Regina is talking to Robin and saying, you have to forget about me, you have to fall in love with your wife again, you have Andrew just going, and we just have a phenomenal performance out of Lana here. And I'm like, as if you don't always have a phenomenal performance out of Lana? Like, just saying.
And I've only seen her in 2 things thus far, and yet I've loved her in both. So
she's always amazing.
She's always amazing. How has she not gotten more work?
She did a lot of like series that went nowhere. Like her earlier career, she's like a lot of like, she booked a pilot and a series. Cause like I think something she said about Once Upon a Time, like a really, really old interview, was when someone asked her how she felt about getting a season 2. She's like, I was just really surprised because I'm just so used to my series not going anywhere. Like she's really used to being on like a show that gets picked up for 1 season and then that's it. So this one was definitely like a very like lucky situation for her. Right now she's working on it's a series of I don't know what it is. She's working on some kind of like lawyer thing again now, I think.
Okay, because like I just don't know if I can watch the JLo movie just to be able to watch her.
No, and to be fair, honestly, don't. I did that, and
how'd that go?
It was the best parts of the movie were the parts that JLo wasn't in, and JLo's in about 85% of the movie.
No, thank you. I'm good.
She doesn't have a whole lot of screen time, but here's the thing: is I thought there was a missed opportunity. Do you care if there's a spoiler here?
No, if it's for that movie, no.
Okay, so spoiler for, I think Atlas was the name of the movie. It's the JLo movie. So the crux of it is that AI is AI has taken over the world, but also the government relies on like nice AI.
Oh God,
is really really not continuing. But the evil AI that has mostly taken over the world was designed by her mother, who's Lana plays JLo's mother. But she got killed a long time ago. So like that makes up for the age discrepancy. But here's the thing is, I thought it was a missed opportunity that the evil AI didn't recreate an AI that looked like Lana's character, because it seems like the kind of sociopathic character that would want to recreate a version of like the mother figure, but one
like
that doesn't
mommy issues, evil AI with mommy issues.
Exactly. But that's what the character is. It already is evil AI with mommy issues. So I was surprised that he didn't create an AI robot that looked like Lana's character so that he had a version that would fully support him in everything he did.
Oh.
Because Lana's character gets killed because she tries to deactivate him.
Interesting.
So I was surprised. That was a missed opportunity. I felt like, I thought that was something that was coming. I was like, because that would also give like
personification,
and JLo's character can kind of have a moment of like conflict that could create like a weak point, whatever, for the fight scene, to see her mother again. Like such a missed opportunity. This is so not on topic. But
now I know, don't bring up JLo.
Lauren has opinions. That's the point of this podcast, is we have really, really intense opinions
on TV and media, but it's kind of important to me because TV and media and, pop culture really does have a semblance in what's going on in our day and age.
It does.
Even though I never watch the award shows.
I find out who wins afterwards and watch the important parts.
I never watch it. It's too boring. I don't want to watch the Oscars or anything else. I'm sorry.
For context, we're recording this the day after the Oscars.
Yeah, I still don't know who won yesterday.
My mom was texting me every once in a while with like things that won, and she had a question about, because the for Best Actress, Mikey Madison won, and she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And my
Mhm.
mom texted me. She went, some person named, and the thing she typed in wasn't even the person's name. And I was like, was she in Once Upon a Time? And I went, you mean Mikey Madison? No, she wasn't. And I went, she was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Which
But
is very different from Once Upon a Time.
Very different. Oh, maybe that's what I heard. I'm like, yeah, I think so. My thing with that is, would I have wanted Cynthia Erivo to win? Absolutely. Do I think Wicked Part 2 is going to win a lot of awards next year? Yes, I do. I was just happy it wasn't the woman from Emilia Perez.
Oh my God.
I didn't really care if it wasn't Cynthia Erivo.
The more I see about that, because I've only seen 2 clips from that movie, the more I see, the more I'm like, what is going on?
It doesn't make any sense. My next line that I had written down was, if she has magic and you have good intentions, then what are we going to do?
Melt her? I don't know.
Belle, she's a bucket of water is not going to work this time. But because Belle's not wrong, and something I loved when they had her look in the mirror. That's going to be the catalyst for the spell of Shattered Sight. The voice that was calling for Belle was definitely Ingrid, because it's definitely not. It's not Belle's voice until she uncovers the mirror. They kept calling it Shattered Sight Beta.
Oh God.
Which, like, they're not wrong, because that's what the spell does, is it brings out the worst in everyone, and it makes them want to kill the people they love. That's the point of the spell. And I think we'll talk about it. I think it'll get talked about more in, I believe, Smash the Mirror would make the most sense.
Yeah.
If not Fall. So either 408 or 409. And also, if you're following along this line and you've only watched Once Upon a Time on like Netflix or Disney Plus, I use the numbering convention from when it aired and what is on the DVDs and is what in most things. Smash the Mirror Parts 1 and 2 aired as one episode. I don't care what streaming services say, they're wrong. This is my boomer take. I will stand with this. This is the hill I will die on. Because here's the thing, is if Smash the Mirror turns into 2 episodes, then the 100th episode is no longer the 100th episode.
See, and we had that issue with Bob's too, where I'm like, it's the 100th episode, but they premiered it as the 107th. So like,
yeah, so we're not doing that. Smash the Mirror is one episode. It's one episode. It was one title card. I think it had 2 directors, but it has 1 set of writers. So 1 episode. That's my thing. So that's, the numbers don't sound right to you. I'm right. You're not. There's very few times that I will say that. I'm using the correct numbers. But so we'll see more of that. But the spell of Shattered Sight does come from a bit in the original Snow Queen story.
Okay.
So this is we're bringing in more of that, of this evil mirror that brings up the worst and causes you to try to kill everybody, and that's going to be
Good
so
times.
much fun. So much fun in 410. 410 is.
All right, who does Leroy attack? Because I already know. Who does Leroy attack?
Do we see Leroy in this episode?
Oh, that'll be sad if he's not. Like, he's just so good with rage, man.
I don't know if I don't remember the last time I watched the episode in full. I'll be quite honest. But we do have a moment of Doc yelling at Dopey, just going, "Open your mouth and speak." He's just yelling at him to just talk.
I could just see Leroy, and I'm like, who's he gonna attack? And please let it be Prince Charming, because that would just be fucking hilarious.
I don't remember if Leroy's in that one. I'll be quite honest. There's some people in there
that's a missed opportunity if he's
there's
not.
A real missed opportunity if he's not in that one. I don't think he is, because mostly we'll see. Charming's a little busy in that episode. I can't say too much without spoiling anything, and that's when you have to go in blind. You have to go into that one blind. Although there's a fun picture that I will bring in at some point if I can find it, because it's my call out to the writers or the editors. They were cowards. They used the wrong take, is all I'm saying.
Ooh.
But back to this episode. I was like, during the Belle thing and her talking to her beta version of the spell, I went, that mirror is one hell of a ring light.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a really great ring light. But this is also something, as Belle goes on and she tells Rumple what happened, and I wrote, it's cute that Belle thinks this is all her fault, but okay. Because I went, without Belle there, everything in Arendelle would have happened just the same.
Yep.
Like, Anna still would have gone to see Grandpa. Ingrid would have still gotten to her with the storm, forced her somehow to fall, and brought her back. Belle is irrelevant.
But she's just there.
But she's there. This is another instance of Belle on an adventure with a different Disney princess.
Because they can't seem to write her a good enough story. So they got to use her in other ones. And it's really fucking frustrating. And I just want, because she's such an amazing actress. She does such a great job. She really is a great Belle. And I'm just sitting here like, y'all are not giving her good enough shit. You're not.
No, they're not. And this is an episode that they did admit this one is a two-hander in that the episode, it's rather than it being more of a cameo, kind of like how Belle was a cameo in the Remy episode and stuff like that, they keep doing that. This one is about both Belle and Anna's stories. You see Belle more of it because she's got the arc in the Enchanted Forest as well as in Storybrooke. But the first act mostly sets up Belle's aspect in the flashback story. Act 2 sets up Anna's aspect in the flashback story. And then by Act 3, that's when you have the two of them trauma bonding over lost parents.
Yeah.
Which is what we ended up with. But it really, the two of them are the crux of the episode, rather than it being more of a cameo, kind of like with the Mulan one with The Outsider. Because when you said I have thoughts, I'm like, better or worse than The Outsider? Because that one, it's like, even though that's more of a cameo situation, even though Mulan's in more of the episode, there's no emotional arc for Mulan to go on. It's just Belle's.
I've reached the point with the show, so much crazy shit has happened. There's so many times that I have to sit there and be like, wait a minute, what happened in this episode? What was the crazy part of that one? Because this whole show, every time I watch it, I'm like, this is a fever dream. I'm just watching a fever dream every week and talking about it because,
it's a fairy tale character soap opera.
Yeah, it's so I never, when you're like, yeah, what about this episode? I'm just like, wait a minute, I got to remember which crazy crap happened in that one. Or if it was just a boring one with like the worst storytelling ever.
No, it was just one. It was another one that I think the two of us were like, this didn't really need to be here.
Yeah, because I don't mind filler all the time. Like it's okay to have some filler, but sometimes you're just kind of like, did we need this? And that's what takes me back to eggs.
Eggs.
Like, did we need the eggs?
Yeah, The Outsider. I gave a 13. The Outsider.
What season is that? 1?
That is season 2, episode 11.
Let's see. Outsider, I gave a 20.
We did not have complimentary things to say about that episode. Not. But I have 2 more lines and I can do the rest of my commentary notes. I had no idea your bride would be so easy to turn. That sounds gay.
Extremely.
And then Ingrid's line towards the very end of her altercation with Anna, the rock trolls shouldn't talk about things they don't understand, which the way she says it kind of angrily, but knowing what I know, and I'm going to assume she knew something. I really don't know how much Elizabeth Mitchell knew going into this because it always seems like it's very case by case as to whether they tell the actors anything.
But it felt like an emotional line. It didn't feel like she
had
a lot of, like I'm saying, she had a lot of emotion behind that line.
No.
So I assumed like that gave me the thought that this is something has happened to make her feel that way. With the trolls, so I'm just like, ooh.
It's a very emotional thing for her to talk. Like the rock trolls talk, like she's right in to say that the rock troll, they shouldn't talk about things they don't understand because all they know is what the survivor told them, which is all that Gerda knew, which isn't the whole story.
And then like, where's Helga?
We'll find out next week.
Oh, good, next week. Thank fuck. I was like, if I have to wait 4 weeks to figure out where the other lost sister is, I'm be so mad.
No, the next episode is the Snow Queen. So
okay, so I'll find out about the middle sister.
Helga Helga is, so yeah, the age order is Ingrid is the oldest, Helga is the middle, Gerda was the youngest.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, the way that Grandpappy kind of told the story to Anna almost kind of makes it seem like Gerda did something to get rid of her sisters, the way it was told.
Yeah, it was weird.
Which is like not what happened at all, but it is what it is. So, more commentary notes because I haven't gone over all of them. And again, I'm highlighting just the important things, not everything, because
then we'd be here for 2 hours.
And I'm sure someone will want to listen to that. But if you want to see every single thing they said in the commentary, here's your occasional plug. Our Patreon, which is $1 a month, gets you access to read our notes. So you can see the whole spreadsheet for both of us. And in my case, any episode that had audio commentary, you see the whole ass list of commentary because it's a lot.
Yeah, we write a lot of things and we do a lot of things in that Patreon, like the book club and also monthly coffee chats, which you guys get very edited and doctored episodes. The coffee chats are like almost never actually edited very much.
Yeah, what you get is like heavily curated, especially like when we mess up something. We're like, I'm going to say that again and try it again.
Yeah.
Like, you'll never know this. We cut out like a whole 3 minutes of this episode.
Exactly.
You'll never know. But The Patreon with the coffee chats. I think the most editing we do is if one of your kids walks into frame, I cut that out. And occasionally I proofread the captions. I don't do a great job of that. Like mostly like it's like fixing spellings of like authors' names and stuff like that. Other than that, I don't do a whole lot of proofreading. It's mostly an hour of us just
talking about books.
Pretty much.
Mostly about books. Like we tend to talk about what we've been reading. And of course, if you're a patron, you get to like ask us discussion questions or questions that you'd like us to answer pertaining to books. But I mean, you can, if you have questions for us about the podcast, that's the place to ask us.
Oh yeah. The Patreon coffee chats, we open it up to Q&A for the patrons. They can ask us quite literally anything. Like obviously it's to our discretion. There's some things we probably won't answer.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, like you want to know anything about how the podcasting process works or just about what our process is like in general, that's the best place to get that question answered because we are completely unfiltered.
Yeah.
And you also get videos of Katie reacting to the bloopers.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and to be fair, from now on, they're going to get longer because the blooper is like 5 minutes this season.
I'm so fucking excited. Like that might be my main goal of watching these now. Is like I can't wait for the bloopers.
Blooper reel.
Yeah. You have notes though. We should be.
I do have some more notes. I've gone through quite a few of them though. So this shouldn't be as long as normal, but yeah, here it goes.
You say that now.
I say that now. One of the first ones I highlighted was they talked about the scene of everybody in the sheriff station. And like they gave that type of scene a name. They called it a group grab scene because it's where you get everyone up to speed. It's a little bit of info dumping but you're getting everyone up to speed on what's happened in the past. And like this was something that Andrew and Kalinda called line rationing, when you're trying to make sure that every single character has a reason to be there besides just sitting and listening.
Mm-hmm.
Because like even if like the example they gave was like even if David and Mary Margaret agree, they have different reasons and they're coming from different points of view. So they want to make sure that like even though they're on the same page, they're coming at it from different angles and like they take a long time to shoot because like you could be covering a 3-page scene. And if it's like 2 actors, mostly because what they have to do is they have to get coverage of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're getting everyone's point of view and their close-ups. And if there's like 8 characters in a scene, like that scene had Emma, Killian, Elsa, Snow, David, Regina, Henry, Belle, and Rumpel. So they had say that scene in the sheriff station is a 3-page scene. They have to get 9 or really 18 different angles plus a wide shot.
Ugh, nope.
Like they have like how many times? Because this was something that Kristen Bauer said about True Blood, that because they also had a lot of scenes that had a lot of characters in them, they would do hundreds of takes. She said,
"Oh my god!"
Like it would like it took them like I think she said a month sometimes to record an episode or to film an episode. So like it takes a while. So you can imagine like it's grueling to do that over and over and over and over and over again. So back to the Kalinda's favorite line, which actually was an Andrew line of "I'm about to storm an evil ice cream truck," because we've pointed out these moments where like they have a bit of a self-awareness to them, and like he said, he likes having those moments when the characters are a little self-aware that what they're doing is fun and a little out there and poke fun at it and have a sense of humor about it because it makes it a little more natural.
Makes it a little bit easier too.
Yeah, like it
we
makes
do that in our own lives. We kind of make jokes about the hard things
and
the weird things.
Exactly. And like you have to. And with the scene with Robin and Regina, when he says, "I think we're getting a great performance out of Lana," as if they don't always do that. He says, showing Regina really does love Robin, but the best thing she can do for him right now is push him away because if they're together, that means death for Marion. And it's a certain frustration for her because she quite literally can't think of any other way to save her.
Oh, wow.
It's just, at this point, all she can come up with is true love's kiss. There's nothing else. I mean, she's tried everything. She looked through every book, every potion. She tried to force the Snow Queen's hand. She just can't think of anything else at this point. So we'll see what wakes up Marion. We'll see that soon.
Okay.
And they talked a lot about that scene with Elizabeth and Bobby, or Ingrid and Rumpel specifically. Because they said it's really fun to write these scenes between 2 villains who are equally poised to grab for power and kind of evenly matched. And they said props to Elizabeth Mitchell to come in and just go toe-to-toe with Bobby like right away. Because they loved how she's so much more restrained, like we said. And they compared it to Zelina. I'm comparing it to Zelina and then also who we're going to see. Because we're not going to have just one villain who takes up a lot of space. We're going to have 3.
Oh, God.
Because not only, I mean, it's both metaphorically and physically, because they're all very big presences. Yes.
You said that right. Yeah.
I said that right. They're very big presences. But also you have Mal who can turn into a dragon, so physically very large.
Dragon.
Ursula, who has tentacles, very large, and Cruella, who wears gigantic fur coats.
They all take up space.
And has her giant car. Like, truthfully, like, they physically and emotionally take up a lot of space. So, but you have Ingrid, who's very slimmed down. And I still wonder, because I understand why, because I saw the interview where she said that she's mostly barefoot in the forest scenes, because otherwise she felt like she would trip over things. How did she not, like, get frostbite?
Oh, I have
like, how
no
did she not
idea.
lose a toe? Is my I genuinely
It's
like to know, how did she not lose
she
a
had
toe?
Uggs on the side.
I would imagine so, but still,
I still don't know how people wore those shoes.
I wear them all the time. I don't recommend them.
I never had Uggs.
Yeah, they weren't exactly. I mean, I can't even say they were stylish. They were just trendy.
They
were
really
warm.
were. I thought they were the ugliest shoes ever.
They were really warm. I'll give them that.
Coming from the woman that's still at 31 years old, wears Converse every day. So
yeah, that's just true. But a lot of what they were saying with the I'm saying Enchanted Forest is Arendelle, whatever stuff, is that they shot. So a lot of what they shot for Belle and Anna on the mountain is on location. And they were saying that it was really nice because they have a lot of these beautiful natural settings. And when they get the dailies, they kind of feel like they're watching stuff that's like in like this magical land. But because Vancouver itself is so varied in landscape, they can pick different locations. And it feels like you're in different areas of the Enchanted Forest. Like they've picked more rocky mountainous areas for Arendelle, where we see mostly forest stuff for the Enchanted Forest. So it does feel like you're in an entirely different realm, which definitely helps a lot. And they were saying, like, every once in a while when they're breaking the episodes and like where the flashbacks have to go and like where to set things, like they have to decide whether they're gonna film on a green stage and just build in something and extend it, or if they're gonna try and shoot on location. And ultimately what it comes down to is money. But it's funny that you said that it seems like they put a lot more money into the CGI this season, because they said that Steve Perlman, one of the producers, helps a lot with that, because every once in a while they'll get an email that's like, hey, if we set this in Granny's instead of this random location you decided, we can free up some money for this visual effect later in the episode. So like it's a lot of balancing that. So like balancing whether to use their standing sets they always have that doesn't cost as much versus getting them on location. And especially with that with the cliff scene, like they were saying the difference in like watching it in the dailies, because you can tell in like the unedited footage that they're not that far off the ground. They're like 10 feet off the ground, maybe, if that. But the way it's filmed and edited, it looks like they're like 100 feet off the ground and about to fall off.
Yeah.
Like, which is really good editing wise. And this was something that I really liked, that they mentioned this. There's a moment in the scene with Hook and Emma when she's going through like the stuff like from her childhood, that he was going to tell her some backstory about his father abandoning him.
Oh.
Which would have been a really good emotional beat for them, but it just ultimately got cut for time.
That's sad.
But it's gonna be that exact monologue, not the exact monologue, but the exact idea is gonna be reintroduced in the beginning of next season.
Oh, okay. I'm excited for that thing.
So
I love him.
I know. And this is a case of like, for me as a writer, I'm like, oh, I'm doing something right. I don't throw anything away. Like nothing gets deleted. Everything can have another purpose. You never know when you're gonna need it again.
Oh, I am the worst then. All I do is delete things.
Well, because this is my thing of like, I get rid of nothing. I have, if I never finish a project, it gets shelved in a folder of forgotten projects. It gets trunked is the phrase that people use. And I find reasons to rework it into other things. So, for example, in Across the Abyss, towards the end of the book, my main character, Darcy, gets hired on a TV show. That is going to be an adaptation of what is in the universe of the book, a well-known book. That premise that was, I think Will You Sign My Dance Card is what the TV show was called. I don't remember what I named the book at the end. That premise is a shelved story that I worked on a couple of years ago.
Oh, I like that.
So I didn't have to like reinvent something. I already had the idea, and it didn't have to get fleshed out because like the TV show wasn't really the point. But I just needed an idea. There we go. So
I also got to say though, guys, if you ever want the full Lauren experience, listen to her audiobooks and play Potato.
That is the Lauren experience.
That is the Lauren experience. I did that with
Did you do that? You did that with Across the Abyss. That's the only option you have.
Yeah.
By the time this is out,
I was like, wait a minute.
By the time this episode comes out, you'll have the options of Across the Abyss or Say It Out Loud, a sapphic paranormal romance satire with Twilight jokes and dragons.
In my defense, we were just texting earlier today about Say It Out Loud, so I almost said Say It Out Loud. I'm like, that's not the right one. Wait a minute.
You definitely haven't listened to that one yet because I haven't recorded it.
Well, get to work.
I'm trying. I need more padding. I do. Like, you guys have like a really good setup. I need a better one. I'll get there eventually. All right. I think we've gone through most of my my commentary notes, which is good. Oh, this was another funny one. Was that when they showed the sorcerer's hat again, they went, oh, that looks really cool, because the sorcerer's hat that they're used to looking at is basically a blue velvet hat with gaffer's tape on it.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. And this is also what we were saying before about Belle's story, and like with we're saying before about Skin Deep. They were saying that like when they go back to put in these different flashbacks, they did have a timeline. They claim they had a timeline. They claim. I'm sure they had it, but that also just it also just means that when they clearly mess with it, they did so on purpose. Like nothing's by accident. But they were saying with this is like when you go back to kind of figure out where to put these flashbacks, they have to make sure that whatever they do sets up emotionally for what's already in the show. When you're this far into the show, you have to make sure it kind of slots in properly. And the conversation with Belle and her father towards the end, very much, when she comes up, like they'll come up with a way to defeat the ogres based on this lesson that she's learned in the episode. The tail end puts her in that emotional space that she needs to be in at the beginning of 112 when she volunteers to go with Rumple in exchange for his help. Which, that part I think they did really well. One thing that does put a pin in that thought, even though this is like a year apart, in the end of season 5, there's an episode that goes between like this episode and 112.
Oh my god!
Because here's the thing: there's one key piece we are missing. That's Gaston.
Oh yeah, Gaston.
Like we don't see him. We haven't seen him since Skin Deep. So there's that little bit there that's missing. But that was a little bit of something there. And then Kalinda later on was saying that she loves that scene with Ingrid and Anna in the cell because Anna's character is normally very cheerful and very positive. And she has to go to this really deep, dark, desperate place because they say she knows all these terrible secrets. She doesn't know a whole lot. She doesn't know the details of anything yet. She just knows something happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's still trying. And they said that was a scene that they had to rewrite a couple of times as the beats for 407 were changing. And they also reiterated what I said, was that Ingrid wanted a family with Elsa and Anna, and that was a genuine desire. But it was her jealousy and insecurity, and also I think a little bit of Anna's distrust that kind of gets in the way of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one more note, but before we get to that, Katie, what did you rate Family Business?
So I gave character and personal 7s because they're decent, they're good, but I see a lot of flaws with. I still have a lot of complaints and a lot of flaws with, of course, the Belle and Rumple relationship.
Yeah.
So which is really sad because it's my favorite, and they did this. And I gave plot 8 because it is a pretty good plot. Like it is. Like I actually think this is one of the better, well-written ones. But it's still not just there for me. Like I still have some complaints. So it's a 22.
Okay.
Which isn't bad.
No, that's still honestly, given how you're talking about it, that's still a better score than I was anticipating. I really enjoyed this episode for how little of it I remembered before going in. This one got 10s for plot and character, again, because I know what it sets up.
Oh, that's fair.
So much of this is where our scores are really skewed, because so much of it is because of what I know and how, and now knowing how much they weaved the writing of this episode with the writing of the next episode. That just all makes perfect sense to me. I'm like, cool, that's all working really well. I did give it an 8 for personal, so it does get a 28 out of 30 in this case because of the Rumple thing. And they were saying about how like they needed to really come up with a good reason for Rumple to be able to run in. And to be fair, his justification of you told me to keep watch. I thought I heard the Snow Queen, so I came in to warn you makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's valid. I have to reiterate all the time. Even though we don't like Rumple, we love Robert Kylo. I'm going to repeat that constantly so no one hates us for
this is true.
Our Rumple situation. I love Robert Carlyle. Love him.
He does a phenomenal job.
The character of Rumple just angers me.
Which is why he does a great job.
Exactly.
And it's the fact of like, basically, they said like with Elizabeth Mitchell going, like coming in and going toe-to-toe with Rumple right away. It's a testament to how good of an actor he is and how kind of a person he is that they can have that immediate chemistry without really ever having worked together before. And like, you see that with basically any guest star that gets to work with him. Like that's like,
He's so amazing.
With Bobby and with Lana, you see that very quickly that like basically any guest star that gets to go toe to toe with them instantly has that chemistry. It's very rare not to find it.
I like that a lot.
So, and that speaks a lot about them as people. This was my last note that I thought was funny because I meant to bring it up before and then I forgot. But remember what I said in the 401 commentary about Emma and her tank top time?
Yeah.
We had tank top time at the end, which to me means that she had a sweater on beforehand, and throughout however many takes it took to get through that scene, she just went, never mind, we're taking it off.
I don't blame her.
Not at all. But actually, you might find this infuriating. I don't know. The photos of Ingrid and her sisters were added in post-production because when they filmed that, they hadn't cast Helga yet. That is really good CGI.
They hadn't even casted her yet?
They must have not. They probably didn't finalize it yet.
Oh my goodness.
Because that would have required both finalizing the casting and having the costume fitting and having whatever she needed for that photo shoot to get that image properly. So that was all added in post. Because those are all outfits that we'll see the three of them use in 407.
Okay. All
right.
I'm
that's
impressed.
Really good CGI.
Yeah. Like I said, I at the beginning of us talking about this, like the CGI has been really great this season.
Yeah. But I know how much you love when the photos are CGI.
So many things are constantly CGI. Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 8, Episode 3, The Wolf of Wharf Street, and Episode 4, Sit Me Baby One More Time. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and Blue Sky. And if you'd like to join our Patreon, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren